to Anupale. I hope you're having a blessed Sunday. Last week, the results of the Grade 6 National Assessment were released. I extend congratulations to all the students who sat the exams and gave of their best efforts, even within the challenges posed by COVID-19. Congratulations to the top 5 performing students, Aniela Birmingham of the St. Martin Primary, Serena Harris of St. Luke's Primary, Kenny Lee Barron of St. John's Primary, Denari Samuel of St. Mary's Primary, and Therese Leblanc of the Convent Preparatory School. Your show of industry and commitment is an example for us all, and I commend you for your achievement. I wish continued success for all of you who are advancing to secondary schools in September. I wish also to acknowledge the significant efforts of the Ministry of Education during the COVID-19 period to ensure that students remained engaged and that the assessment was administered in the most efficient manner. I also commend the collaborative approach to teaching and learning on display over the past months from parents, teachers, and principals. This is an example I wish us to emulate as, together, we tackle issues which affect our country. Thank you all for putting the interests of the children of Dominica first. Over the past few days, we observed the progress of Tropical Storm Gonzalo, which brought heavy rains and flooding to parts of the region. It was a stark reminder that even as we contend with COVID-19, we are also in the hurricane season and must keep our guard up. Dominica, of course, is not unfamiliar with the damage that can be caused by storms, having experienced the impact of Tropical Storm Erica and Hurricane Maria in recent memory. The incredible devastation caused by Hurricane Maria forced us to review our approaches and identify ways to build resilience in the face of increasing threats brought on by climate change. Over the past 2 years, we stepped up efforts to improve disaster response and ensure that our citizens are better prepared to protect their families, their homes, and communities in the event of a major storm. We have made a special effort to improve operations at the shelters, especially in light of the added challenges posed by COVID-19. We have also increased capacity with the construction of a new hurricane shelter at Live to serve the St. Joseph constituency. We're doing all within our power to sharpen our response capacity to ensure the safety of every Dominican. In the first segment of this program, I will talk about the activities undertaken in this regard. I am joined now by the National Disaster Coordinator at the Office of Disaster Management, Mr. Fitzroy Pascal, to bring us up to date with our disaster preparedness efforts. Mr. Pascal, welcome, and I want to wish you a happy Sunday. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Tell us what you do at the ODM as a disaster coordinator.
Well, good evening to you, PM, and good evening to your many listeners and viewers of this program. At the Office of Disaster Management, we ensure that the state, Dominica, is in a state of readiness at all times. We are the Secretariat to the National Emergency Planning Organization, NEPO, which really mandates that we keep the state in a state of readiness at all times.
Now, we had Tropical Storm Erica and Hurricane Maria. There were lessons learned. What are some of the lessons that were learned, and what have we done in response to those lessons?
Definitely, we decided that from coming out from these two events, we saw that the ODM, the Office of Disaster Management, cannot do disaster management in Dominica alone. We need all stakeholders on board, and therefore we have went on to ensure that collaboration with the stakeholders is paramount, and also going into the communities. We are using the CDM approach, comprehensive disaster management, where we look at all the hazards, all the phases, and all peoples. So like I say, we at the ODM cannot do it alone. So we engage in all the various sectors and people in the various communities to assist in disaster management island-wide.
Now, This week we were preparing, like most of the other countries down south, for Tropical Storm Gonzalo. Thank God it did not make any landfall. We got some rain and some thunder, but no damage was reported. Uh, we are we are saying that another storm is approaching. Are we following this event?
Yes, definitely, PM. The Met Office is the agency on island which monitors all the weather events, and there is a system that just exited the coast of Africa, expected in our area sometime the middle of this week. We're in the new week, so it's the middle of this week.
So Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday, Thursday, PM.
No, are systems in place? Have we started putting systems in place?
Definitely.
What are the systems you putting in place?
Systems are in place. The national system, like I said, is always in a state of readiness. But we want to implore on the citizens also, the citizenry of Dominica, to ensure that their preparedness efforts are also in place. In terms of what we have been putting in place, we have been focusing on sheltering, shelter management, and we have been carrying out training in the various communities. So far, we have done training in 3 out of the 7 districts, and in addition to the Kalinago territory.
Now, ODM has its role to play, and before I ask the question, I want to ask, can you also share with the public and explain to the public what does NEPO mean, and what are the fundamental responsibilities of NEPO? Because people hear NEPO, and they don't know what is this.
NEPO is the acronym for the National Emergency Planning Organization. It is the agency on island which is responsible for ensuring that the state is in a state of readiness at all times. It is chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister. That means we have support from the top, and I'm very happy to say that. And the cabinet members and also technocrats, senior government officials, and the ODM as the secretariat. But it doesn't only stop there. All the district communities and the community personnel are also part of NEPO. So that's why I keep saying that it's not only the national system, but also the people on the ground. They need to play their part to ensure that we're in a state of readiness.
But what are we doing though at ODM to assist citizens and residents to, one, play their part, and to prepare in the event that we're affected by a storm?
We have been going around for the various communities, and we are now trying to ensure that there are district disaster committees island-wide. As you know, we have 7 districts in addition to the Kalinago territory. So we're going around in the individual districts and carrying out trainings and carrying out sensitizations so that everyone knows their role in the entire disaster management system. We're also providing PSAs, public service announcements, and we're doing training also, and also we're ensuring that no one is left behind.
So, if you were to, you're advising the public, you're having meetings in the various communities, you have had meetings in 3 of the 7 districts so far in terms of additional training. What are the 3 or 4 things that we as citizens and residents need to be mindful of in this hurricane season, and actions which we need to take?
Well, preparedness should have been taken long before the start of the hurricane season, but we keep reminding the populace that at least they should do the basic things like inspect your homes, clear drains, that these are simple things, ensure that your roof is in order, clear overhanging trees that may fall down, not only on your house, but also on your neighbor's house.
Now, 10, 15 years ago, we would hear of a storm approaching, a tropical storm approaching. Nobody would be perturbed. That has changed as a result of Tropical Storm Erica. It is clear that the impacts of climate change has dramatically altered the frequency of the storms and the intensity of the storms. Are you seeking to caution us that we should not take anything for granted, and anytime there is a storm approaching, that we should treat it with the seriousness that we would have treated a hurricane?
Oh yes, definitely, PM. And also coming out of Erica, and I will touch on Maria in a while, but coming out of Erica was expected to be just a simple weather system passing just north of Dominica, and we all know what happened. So that's one lesson learned. And the second is Maria. Maria was expected to be a Category 3 hurricane approaching Dominica. And then we had rapid intensification into a Category 5 hurricane. So definitely we are imploring that the populace pay attention to every individual storm. And the senior Met has been saying that once the system is to the east of the island chain, that we should definitely pay attention until it exits and goes into the Eastern Caribbean Sea.
So with this storm approaching, we should have started preparation, and if not, we should start now.
Definitely.
Now, shelter is a major part of our planning and preparation because there are still vulnerable people in the country. And where are we on shelters? Do we have sufficient shelters? Is every area covered?
Yeah, we are at an advanced stage of shelters. The assessment and selection started in January, so every year, clockwork, we start preparations for shelter in January. We finalize the list in May, and then we publicize the list in June. And then we got some much needed assistance from the Minister for Finance, PM, that's you.
I'll speak to him, I'll tell him thanks. I'll tell him thanks.
Where we give some materials to selected shelters, and we're hoping that this can continue throughout the new financial year. And not only there, like you mentioned earlier on, Layo, we have this purposefully built shelter, first in Dominica and probably first in the region. And we're looking at the commencement for construction of 2 additional shelters come next month.
Yeah, and then we're going to tender for where we're finalizing designs for the Calago territory, a special shelter there. We're joining forces with the CDB and the government of the CDB to finance this shelter. And once we would have started those in Castle Bruce and Jimmy, we're looking at Grand Bay, Portsmouth, Roseau, and in the Margaret West area for that catchment area.
And just to add, so they have resilient housing structures going up in all the communities, which have incorporated sheltering in their design. This too is an addition to the whole sheltering.
Now, where do I get the information as to where my shelter is? So I'm in vehicles and so on. I'm at my home or my neighbor. Where should my neighbor get that information? Where can he or she get that information?
We have circulated the shelters list. We have given it to the print media. It's also available online on the government's website. We also have it on the ODM's website also.
Okay. Now, and you said that we have enough shelters?
118 of them, we catering for 4,000 shelters.
So 118.
And we have the persons by name, where each individual shelteree will go to a particular shelter.
Okay, excellent. So there's been an improvement from Maria.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Now, we're in the COVID era. The issue of social distancing and the issue of wearing a mask, clearly this would have impacted on our preparations. How so?
This has definitely altered sheltering in terms of capacity. Where before a shelter would probably have 10 persons, we now probably have 6 persons being able to fit into that particular shelter. And again, this is given the restrictions brought about by physical and social distancing. So we have to take into consideration the guidelines set by the PAHO and the Ministry of Health. So when you're entering a shelter, you need to be sanitized, you need to ensure that you have your mask, your glove, your rubbing alcohol, and then the sleeping arrangements are different in terms of being set 6 feet apart, and also the alternate head to toe arrangement.
So the ODM will be providing hand sanitizer?
We have some available. We definitely have some available.
But you're encouraging,
but we're encouraging persons to come with these basic supplies in your emergency kit. You should have 3 days supply of water, your non-perishable food items, your medication. Now, given COVID, you should have your COVID supplies.
And we also have had challenges in respect to the behavior of personnel at the shelters.
Yes, security, the police will be assisting us with security in that regard.
But as far as possible, we are soliciting the cooperation of those persons who are seeking the shelter, because it's in their interest for everybody to behave his own self. Okay, now a storm is approaching. We pray that we're not impacted. because clearly we cannot deal it for some. I mean, we all know that. But what are some of the, what is the checklist of things which a homeowner or business owner or family would need to look at in preparation for this storm?
You should have your family emergency plan, or if in a business case, you have your business continuity plan. And your family emergency plan should basically tell you who should do what tasks are assigned to various members of that family, what resources are required. And earlier I mentioned, if you require to cut trees in your immediate vicinity, if you need to clear your drains. So that is as far as the family plan goes. You should have a communication plan where in the event that family members get separated, they know how to make contact with others and where the meeting place is. And as I mentioned earlier on, your emergency kit, you should have all your supplies in your emergency kit.
Now, the issue of access to information, people have access to online portals and so on, websites to get information. What is your advice to the general public insofar as information relating to a storm approaching, which is the official medium for the dissemination of that kind of information?
We're asking people to stay informed, increase your knowledge. But as you rightly said, increase your knowledge doesn't mean that you'll become an overnight weather forecaster. You have to have specialized training in that regard. So there's the ODM's website, odm.gov.dm. There's the telephone 448-7777 or 611-4412. We now have a Facebook page to cater for the younger generation. It's at Dominica, at 2 Dominica 1. We also have the government website which you can access our website on.
So the official medium is ODM and the Met Office?
ODM and the Met Office.
Right. So this is the state
designated
authorities on dissemination
of information as it relates to meteorological hazards.
Okay, thank you very much. What are your final words or advice to all of us in the country as we of course in the hurricane season, but very critically monitoring this storm approaching?
Be prepared, stay safe, and it only takes one system to cause disruption to life and property.
Sure. Well, thank you. What we have done in the government in the furtherance of our national preparation is that a couple of months ago we redirected the National Employment Program folks to assist with the clearing of drains and culverts and the cutting of overhang, especially in the yards and the homes of vulnerable citizens. And I want to commend them and thank them for this effort. From all reports, they've done a fantastic job, and certainly the communities, there are less hazards in the communities than there were a couple of months ago. Our efforts must continue. We have to continue to pray, but we cannot be like the foolish virgins. We need to have sufficient oil in our lamps, meaning we need to prepare and take the advisory very seriously. I don't give people marks for free because as a teacher myself, you have to earn your marks, but I certainly want to commend you for the leadership that you've shown at the ODM and to express my thanks to yourself and your staff and Mr. Marshall Alexander, the senior Met officer. And I'm hoping that one day he will get appointed. I know he's been acting for a long time now, but we'll see what happens. Thank you very much.
And thank you for being a disaster management champion on Ireland.
Preparation can certainly minimize the impact and the cost, and we need to take precautionary measures and so forth. And this is why we push in, and the ODM has my absolute support, and whatever else the government, the cabinet needs to do, please let us know. Because we don't want to leave any stone unturned in our preparation for this storm and indeed for the hurricane season. We pray that there will be no storms affecting us in Dominica and the Caribbean, but we are prepared nonetheless. Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald, and I wish you a wonderful evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We'll take a break, I believe a 2-minute break, and we'll come back to the next segment of Anupali. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Joan Edmond. I'm 27. I farm in Niba Central. I'm from the village of Layu. I am currently occupying 3.5 acres. I am planning on extending that to about 7 acres. My crops I mainly grow bananas, plantain, dashing, and I do some short crops, seasoning peppers, sweet corn. In terms of the World Bank program, I have received fertilizer, I have received the maize blower, cutlasses. This project has impacted my life very greatly because after Maria, I was struggling with the farm because everything got destroyed. The inputs have helped me a long way. I've occupied all of the land, which was more than 50% was abandoned. Right now I have almost 100% crops. So the World Bank program has developed my life very much. Just like to say thank you to the government of Dominica and to the World Bank for everything that they have done and for seeing the need to develop agriculture in Dominica.
I'm Reginald Eli. I farm here at Glasgow, that's above the Font Collet. I've had the land for over 40-something years. I purchased it in 1976. Presently, we do mainly vegetables and livestock, poultry, to be more exact. Under the vegetables, we do quite a bit of it in the greenhouse, which we're under right now. And at one time, we did mainly lettuce. We've done it in boxes above the ground, simply again because we saw into the future in that. We're trying to avoid having to bend down on the regular beds. And secondly, another advantage of the boxes, the fact that they're raised, you can have them wider. And as a result of that, you have less footpaths. So you're planting more area than the normal thing. From after Maria, we got some damages with the greenhouse and we haven't really got fully in gear with it. Because at one time we put out about 800 heads a week. What another thing we did, again, we started that about 20 years ago. We had gone into exotic fruits and we had a variety of about 48 imported fruits. And well, Maria took its toll on that one. And I bargained for the bigger tools, like the brush cutter, the earth auger, chainsaw. So all of them can't come to mind, but basically I focus on the heavy tools. So basically this is what our life in Glasgow is right now, and I hope that in the near future we can really pick up the momentum we'd like to and carry on. And I can interject there with the president of the World Bank. That gives you the encouragement, and I hope the impetus will come in later on.
Welcome back. On Tuesday, I will present my 17th budget to the Dominican Parliament. As I hinted last week, there are measures designed to boost economic activity and assist citizens to improve their livelihoods. One such measure will be the establishment of a $30 million loan facility at the Aid Bank for small and medium-sized businesses at a very concessionary rate of 1%. Keep in mind, this budget comes in the midst of unprecedented shocks to the economy brought on by COVID-19. Yet, we are devising ways to stimulate the economy, keep people in jobs, and put food on people's tables. However, we don't have all the answers. I am always open to hearing from you on best approaches to matters of development. This is why on this episode of Anupali, I've invited 4 entrepreneurs from the private sector for discussion on their experiences in business and how they believe government can better assist them. With me are Mr. Linval Ambo of Choco Dominic, Mrs. Joan Moise of Crispies, Mr. Emil DePutter of We Forward, and Mr. Yuri Jones of Yuri Jones Photography. Welcome, lady and gentlemen. Thank you for making the time to be here with me. I know in the private sector your time is very expensive. In the government sector, our time is free, you know. But I'm happy that you're taking the time to be here with us and so on. Now, Mr. Ambo, tell us who you are, what you do, what are the services you offer to your clients.
Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Pierre. I'm Linvor Ambo. I'm 27 years old. I was a Business Ventures Inc. 6 years ago at 21, and we started making Choco Dominic. It's instant cocoa powder. So traditional cocoa sticks with Choco Dominic, you just add your hot water and you have your traditional cocoa tea. And this year also I'm starting a pasteurized fruit juice company. It's called Bell Valley Fruit Juice. We've been selling to selected villages just to get customer feedback. So it's we purchase the fruits from the farmers and we pasteurize it, and then you just go in the store, open it, and drink it, ready to consume.
So you started the business at 21?
At 21, yes, sir.
21. You were still at college at the time?
At the time I was at college, yes.
When you started?
Yes.
That's interesting. I want to be like you when I get older. And I know your mom is watching and she's very proud of you, and I want to say good night to her. Now, how do I call you guys? With my first name, that's okay?
Yeah,
that's all right. You can call me Skerrit if you want, you know. Your Crispies, to tell us, Joanne Moise, tell us about your business, please.
Good evening, PM, and good evening to the listening public. I am Joanne Moise, formerly of Piditsavan. We were, as you know, displaced after Erica. I started my business 5 years ago. It's a restaurant, not just a fast food restaurant, but it's locally owned. We do fast food as well as local cuisine and a bit of catering. So you need to cater for anything, we do that also. We started with, I started with, it was 2 of us, but right now, since October of 2015, I'm on my own. It has been a challenge, it has been a challenge, but I'm getting there.
I must say that, when I heard you go into this business, I thought you were very brave and courageous, because you were like the David taking on the Goliath.
It was, PM, it was very difficult. It wasn't there wasn't I would say, an opening for that business in Dominica, but I created one. It was because in Dominica we had KFC, and then we had the small snackets, the small restaurants around. So at 4 o'clock, they're only one. So I wanted to give Dominicans an option. So that is where I came in.
So, thank you very much. I mean, we know you, in the photography business as well. If you wanted a passport picture, that was the place to go.
That's what it started.
Tell us about your enterprises.
Okay. So, my name is Emil DePutter. First of all, good evening to everybody and all the listeners. I'm Emil DePutter from Deepak Scholar Lab. As you said, Deepak started off as a business taking pictures, little passport pictures, and then right now we are a full service, one-stop printing company. We operate out of Dominica, and we also have some operation out of Florida in terms of printing to send to the different parts of the Caribbean. We do that through our We Forward service that we started off in June 2018. We Forward is something that we started because we saw the need for a one-stop freight company. So we do everything in terms of shipping, consolidating, sourcing, shipping small packages. We also export right now, so we can send stuff from Dominica to anywhere in the world. We do not only do small packages, we do containers, we do vehicles. The sourcing is a key part of what we do. So like for instance, items that Miss Moise may need for her business, and she doesn't have somebody up in the US to check the things out for. Let's say she needs a particular type of deep freeze, or she needs an industrial stove or something like that. We offer this service where we actually go to the place, check it out, make sure everything is what you want, send pictures, have the back and forth communication and that sort of thing. And that did not exist before. So that is the sort of service. We have our warehouse in the United States. The company is also registered in the United States, and we offer the best prices on the market right now for shipping.
So if I want an item in the United States, I call you, you source it,
Right.
you package it,
So you have
and
that.
you take it to my home in vehicles.
Definitely. So you have that situation where, for instance, Mr. Ambo may need to buy something and then they say they do not accept credit cards from out of the United States. So we provide that service where we purchase that item for you, right? So you don't have to worry anymore whether your credit card will go through or anything of that sort, right? And then it comes to Dominica, we do the entire customs process for you if you want. And as you rightfully said, we can deliver it to Salisbury, or we could deliver it to Vacas, or Petit Savan, or Kings Hill, or anywhere on the island.
Well, it's now the city of Bellevue Chopin. Well, thank you very much. Your business is called Yuri Jones Photography.
Yuri Jones Photography,
Please.
correct.
Go ahead.
Yes, good night to everybody. Good night to all the listeners and the viewers as well. My name is Yuri Jones. I go by Yuri A. Jones Photography.
Okay.
A is the first letter of my middle name, just to distinguish myself from others. And I'm a photographer. That's how I started off. I've been a full-time photographer for just over a year, and but I've been taking pictures for about six or so years. I published a photography book. That was one of the first done for Dominica in several years. There was one done many years before, but I consider it to be a new, updated version of it. It's what I call a coffee table book, and it's something that many people use as gifts to give to their friends, families, different occasions and so on, and as well as visiting dignitaries also get the books as gifts. And a large part of my business right now is selling nature photos of Dominica. What I do is I capture the images here, I process them, but I also offer them as canvas prints. Now, typically canvas would be something you see a painting on, and that is one of the, I think I can call it, best compliments I've gotten, is when somebody sees one of my prints, they say, hey, it looks like a painting. What I find is that Dominicans who live abroad, as well as people who have visited Dominica in the past, who want something to remember the island by, they find a lot of value in my prints. Aside from that, I do a lot of regular photography, event photography, corporate photography, and I also am doing a lot of videography now as well, videos for businesses and as well as regular clients. So you can call me a one-stop shop for photography and videography at this point.
Okay. Thank you. Interesting. So there are in fact opportunities that people, the niche opportunities.
Definitely.
Now, Linvo, you're involved in small scale manufacturing or agro-processing, and you're utilizing all of the raw material from Dominica. How did this come about?
Okay. Well, from a young age, I should say, I've always been interested in business. I was just waiting for the right opportunity. And also before Choco Dominica, I started a lot of things with my high school friends and stuff. Some worked for a while, and then eventually, it didn't. But when my family in Salisbury, I grew up in a farming family, and after citrus, they moved to cocoa. And me being a cocoa lover, I figured out it was a bit too time-consuming making cocoa tea the normal way. So for myself, I tried to think of a quicker way to do it. And at that time, I'd moved down to Juba, and just other people saw I was doing it and they wanted also. So there was this one shop in Dubai, I decided to just put it for sale. And I started getting back good reviews for Choco Dominic. And from there, it just grew from there. And the product now is a lot, it's not what it was before. Right? I mean, it's improved based on customer feedback. Same thing with the juices. Just before COVID, I moved back to Salisbury.
So this is the packaging, right?
Yeah, this is the Choco Dominic packaging. So inside of it, here we have a sachet.
Like this?
Yes, sir.
So you boil the water?
Yes, so you...
And you pour this in it?
Yeah, and then just stay 2 seconds.
So it has sugar and all the spices in it?
Yeah, so 2 of them, we have one with sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg and bay leaf, and one without sugar.
Without sugar?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
So, yeah. And then, same thing with the juices. Because before COVID, I moved back to Salisbury. And I realized once again we have a lot of fruits, some soursop, passion fruits, and tamarind and all those things. And one of the businesses I did before Choco Dominic was just making fresh juices and selling it to snappets. I stopped that when I used to get the bottles from the Chinese water factory, and when they closed down, I didn't know where to get bottles at that age. I was around 19. So I saw the opportunity again, and I sourced the bottles, the labels, and everything. And then last year, I was fortunate enough to be one of the groups who went to China on a manufacturing training. Stayed there for a month. And one thing they taught us was food preservation and juice preservation also. So went through my notes and everything, and I remember they taught us how to do pasteurization and stuff. And fortunately, a lot of the equipment I had it at the Choco Dominic factory, so that we were not using again. I was from way back when I started. And then so I brought it up to Salisbury, and then I tried out the first couple batches. Once again, I went out to sell in the villages, Paybush and Zime. And then I get good feedback so far. So that's how that one is progressing also.
So as I understand it, you are a product of the Dominica Youth Business Trust.
Yes. So at any young person, you don't have collateral to get the financing to start. And agro-processing is very capital intensive. You need equipment, you need space, you need raw materials. So at the time, I heard that the Youth Business Trust had the training, and then they would guarantee up to $20,000. So I did that. But even before that, I entered a competition, and I won $5,000 first prize for that. So in addition to doing the DYBT training and graduating, I qualified for the loan, but I still had to put the down payment. I had zero. Maybe $500 my mother gave me. So I used that money as a down payment for my first $20,000 loan to buy my first few equipments, and from there just started going from there.
Excellent. Thank you. And what are you doing so you move from you have added the juices?
Yeah. So what happened? No. So I don't work at the Choco Dominic factory anymore. We have 2 employees in Dubai.
Okay. And
3 employees. So they're organizing that. So twice a week I just go with them to do distribution. And in Salisbury, so this is a whole new thing in Salisbury. So they separate right now.
So okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that's very encouraging. I mean, started at essentially 19, but got involved really at 21. Went through the Youth Business Trust, managing 2 businesses at age 27. This speaks volume to his discipline and his seriousness. Now, Joel, as I indicated, when you told me back then that you were going to go into this business, I did not tell you then, but I felt you were a brave woman. And 5 years later, you're still in the business, notwithstanding the challenges. So I have the greatest admiration for you and the greatest respect for you. But how did you come up with the view that there was a space for an enterprise like yours, especially considering we have an internationally branded outfit here in Dominica?
Well, I can tell you, there was not a space. I created
one. You created the space?
I created one because the thing, like I told you, at 4 o'clock everywhere is closed. And then probably at that time people don't want to eat, they don't want chicken and fries, they want something else. So that's where I came in. I started making the long subs. I introduced fish sandwiches, and then I purchased most of my raw material from local farmers. Local farmers, fishermen. I go to store, collect my fish, clean my fish, bone it, do what is necessary. And then I started making my fish sandwich. And Dominicans love fish, and they love fish sandwiches. So it was a very good seller. It is still a very good seller, well, notwithstanding COVID. When I started off, I had about 13 employees. I moved up to, after Maria, I had 23 employees. Right now, although COVID-19 is, I did not send any of my employees home. I kept everybody, I kept all of them. But I all say it, they don't work every day. Everybody work less hours. I pay my staff by hours. So everybody work less hours, but everybody's employed. At least at the end of the fortnight, they can make groceries, even if it's just groceries,
And where you're located in town? So somebody wants to come to your business?
I am located on 27 Great Marlborough Street. That is right opposite of Queens. Everybody know Jackson Shop in Roseau.
Sure.
Well, that street.
That's from my street.
Yes. I'm painted in orange and green. That's my color. I started operation on the 1st of July 2015, and it was difficult. It was very, very difficult. I started with a partner, and then we break off. Long story. And then I started on my own. When I started with my partner, she knew everything, all the accounting. I was basically, I know how in the restaurant, So I didn't know how to do VAT, I didn't know how to do prepare social security, and not even know to pay staff, that was us. And then when we divided, I went to social security and I learned how to do social security. I got an accountant to teach me how to do my VAT. I'm doing my VAT. I can prepare my salaries. I do basically everything in the restaurant. I can do everything in my restaurant. So somebody didn't turn up to work, I can just fall in their position. But I have very good staff. I had very good supervisors, who could be there in my absence, and so it was a challenge, I can tell you. First of all, to begin with, finance was a challenge. Where do you get that money? Because to open a restaurant like that, you need close about over $400,000. You understand? I had nothing. I then had to go to, my uncle, then my husband, and then I got a loan from Aid Bank. It took a while to get it. I won't go into detail. And as you said, PM, it was a very brave venture because I took my mother's house, my chicken house, all my stepfather's property. I took all of that to secure that loan. So if I had gone down, you know what would happen. And then I worked. I used to work from 8 a.m. in the morning to 11 p.m. in the night, non-stop, until in December. And then just after I opened in July, Erica happened in August. I'm from 57. So then we had to come down, of course. PM and the government of Dominica took very good care of us, placed us in homes and stuff. It was difficult. And because of working so hard, doing so much, pushing so much, and then I have to say that to the young people, when you want to go in business, it is you don't get as you start. I worked at Crispy's for 3 years without a salary. 3 long years. Nobody knows that. My husband was taking care of me. Okay, it was difficult. It was difficult. In December of 2015, because of all the pressure, I was hospitalized. I almost got a heart attack. I almost got a stroke. But I kept on pushing because I know I have a family to take care of. I have my mother in a wheelchair to take care of, and I have to push. It was hard. I worked hard. I had the support of my family. I have to say it. I had the support of my staff. And I have some customers. I have customers who are there for me. They are there every day. And I have to say thank God. Okay,
That's a very, very interesting story, and I think it was worth saying as an encouragement to all of us. You know, not only those who involved in business, but even those of us who are involved who are working for somebody, and recognize the sacrifice which people like yourselves make to create jobs in the economy. And it's important that people appreciate this.
Yeah.
Now, Emil, like I said, we knew you in the photography business. Your family has been involved in this for decades.
Yes.
You know, you have made the shift. What caused you to make that shift?
Well, it is something that I wanted to do for many years. I used to have a business on the side years ago called The Source, where we would, you know, get stuff for people. And then I kept asking different friends and family in the US, hey, this is a good business for us to get into. Let's do it. And then nobody saw my vision at the time. And then when Maria hit Dominica, and then I saw all of this devastation, I honestly thought, well, that was it for Dominica, and things was not going to get back in order again. And I had some good people with me at Deepex at the time, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to take that risk and start off this business in the US. And then I just packed up one day and decided that that is what I'm going to do. And then I went up to the US. I met up with these people. I told them what it is I wanted to do. I got a realtor. I got an opportunity to get a warehouse. Even before I started the business, I got the warehouse and registered the business and everything. And then I started with stuff from Deepex. I must mention people like Val Coffey and Giselle Astafan, who really saw my vision and gave me business at that time for me to ship to Dominica. When nobody else saw it, other people I would speak to, they would say, oh, but these other places are doing this. You have this place, that place. And I said, no, it's not just about that. It is the sourcing and different things that people want. Even the government offices and so on, they want stuff and they cannot get it because they haven't got a credit card. They cannot just buy stuff online. They have to go for a local business. You know, so there was this vision there and nobody saw it at the time, and it continued to grow. So I had people like also Lisa and my niece, Jem in Dominica with me, who was checking out stuff for me down here. And I stayed up there trying and, you know, investing in that business, and it continued to grow. So just constant marketing, heavy marketing, putting myself on Facebook. I would call people and say, hey, I need you to do an ad for me. Could you do up this ad? Yes, I'll check it out for you. And then a week would pass, 2 weeks would pass. I can't get the ad done, so I just started doing the ads on my own. I would think of something today, set it up, call Yuri, and tell Yuri, hey, fix up this ad for me, put a little bit of bells and whistles on it and that sort of thing, and send it out on Facebook. And then it just continued to grow, and I can tell you right now, We Forward is maybe one of the #1 shipping businesses in Dominica. We continue to grow, people continue to trust us. We have our little teething problems, I'm sure we'll get into that. But other than that, you know, people have been believing in us. I have some very good staff at We Forward, both in Dominica and in the US. And I can tell you, because of them, we have really been growing, because the customer service is very, very important. And that is something that when you get that sort of thing in Dominica, you have to grab it and embrace it. So I must commend my staff, both locally and in Florida. I have a gentleman named Javonte in Florida, and then he works wonders. I mean, from on a Tuesday, which is our shipping day, he starts work from about 6 o'clock in the morning and doesn't finish until 10 at night, you know, and that is not really, he's not a Dominican or anything, and then he does that, and all he tells me is, boss, I'll get it done. And that's the sort of commitment that we look for. We also employ another 4 Dominicans up in the US, you know. So it is something where all of these other businesses that were here, the courier businesses, were franchises from outside. And it's something where I thought, why don't we have our own Dominican franchise, right? Doing the same sort of thing and more. So this business called We Forward is a Dominican franchise, and then we will be selling out that franchise to the other islands before the end of this year. So we're already doing like Antigua, but we're not marketing there or anything. We're already doing Antigua, shipping stuff to Antigua for customers in Antigua. So we pack and ship to them in D-containers, and then we will be doing the same thing for the other islands. So it's something that we can be proud of, something that you could go to Grenada, something you could go to Antigua, Barbados, and these places and see We Forward and know it is part of what we have. So just like Crispies, you know, is something that Miss Moise should franchise to the other islands, because a lot of times we accept all of these things here and then we bring in all of these foreign things, but then when do we go out there, right, to have our flag flying, just like Choco Dominique, to have that on a shelf and pick that up on a shelf in a foreign country, it's something that makes you feel very, very proud. You know, so to see a van passing in Antigua or Barbados with a big We Forward sticker on it, it makes you feel good about the island.
Sure. Thank you very much, Emil.
Yeah.
Yuri, I mean, you left what most would consider a very good job, and you ventured out into photography. What caused the shift?
Well, the shift is something I'd contemplated for a while. And the thing is, I think I came to a point where the typical office life didn't fulfill me, if I can use that phrase. And I had been looking for various enterprises, various ways to branch out. I've done several different small businesses on the side. One of them is a Facebook page and website, Embrace Dominica. That is when I started off, and I was before for several years. And I was always looking for something that would allow me to step away from a typical office life. Another thing, I've always been impressed and inspired by young business people who were able to take that leap, people who were my age or younger, like Linva is younger, and they had a vision that probably nobody else saw, but they were able to, you know, forget the rest and still move forward. So I always was impressed by that. And so at some point, I decided that will be my future as well. I look for the right opening, the right time, and but I realized early on there is no right time, and I'm pretty sure in business, you know, all of us can say there is no right time to step out. You know, you just have to do it after a while, which is what I ended up doing. Similar to what Mrs. Moise has said, in some ways I had to create my market. I'm pretty sure before I put out the book, for example, you know, there was no one saying, at least not many people saying, I should say, boy, I wish I could get a book, a photography book about Dominica. You know, you may hear something similar to that, but it's more generic. It's never specific to a coffee table photography book. But when you have a vision, I believe you really need to try your best to follow through. You might fail, but then you pick up yourself and you pivot and you do something different. The photography for me has been that pivot because, like I said, I tried different things, and so being able to create that market, the market for gift items that we can be proud of, gift items that Dominicans can hang at their home. And put a smile on their face and remember childhood days, you know, going to Emerald Pool with your family, you know, that sort of thing. Knowing that somebody can see that print day in, day out, and that it brings them a sense of pride or a happy feeling, that is the true fulfillment I was looking for years ago. And so essentially that is what caused me to make the leap. The fact that submitting my report on a certain day didn't do it for me. Like
seeing somebody smile. So, for example, one of the things I've started to do more recently is not only print on canvas the nature of photography I do, but also photographs I take of families and people. And the feedback I get from that is like none other. Seeing yourself or your family, more importantly, hanging on your wall on a canvas print that will last for decades. It touches you.
Can we show the public
Yeah.
one of the canvas prints?
So this is a small version.
This is a small version. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a bigger one there. Yeah.
So this is the larger one.
So this is okay. So this is the actual photograph.
And a photograph.
Yeah.
Printed onto canvas.
Printed on canvas.
Yeah, that's a view of the Concord Valley. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So, like you said, after Maria, you can tell what it is right away. And for a lot of people, it will evoke a certain type of feeling in them, and that's the effect I like the canvas prints to have. So these and most of my work are all available on my website, uriajones.com. And like I said, I found that most of my customers would be Dominicans who live abroad, or people who have visited Dominica in the past, tourists or people who come for business, so on, and they want something to remember Dominica by.
That's great. That's great. Excellent. Thank you very much. Now, I have met hundreds of small business owners over a period of time, and one of the themes in this discussion is the issue of financing, and not only financing but access to financing, and the challenges which many have in accessing that financing. I mean, what are some of the recommendations you have that you believe could help in addressing some of those challenges? Anybody could start with the response.
Yeah, well, a lot of small business owners, the bank that they go to for financing is 8 Bank. A lot of them. I was one of them. Okay, I went to 8 Bank, but my God, it lasted almost a year before I could get the finances, and I had everything they asked me. You understand? They asked me for security. I gave them security. A business like Crispy's, I told you the amount of money that it